How to stop caring about what others think of you. Have you ever stopped to think about how much our lives are shaped by the expectations of others? Imagine a world where no one is really paying attention to you, where all your worries about what others think simply disappear. Today, I want to share with you a series of reflections and experiences about the true importance of appearance and actions in the world around us. Get ready for an introspective journey that may change the way you see yourself and behave in your daily life. Let's dive into this reflection together and discover what really matters. Let's start by reflecting on insignificance and personal relevance. Have you ever wondered about your true importance? Let's begin exploring this idea. The question hanging in the air is, what is the weight of a single person among billions? It seems like we are just a grain of sand on an infinite beach, doesn't it? But think for a moment. Each of us has a unique impact on the world around us. Imagine an orchestra. Without a single note, the melody is incomplete. In the same way, without your presence, the world also loses a bit of its harmony. Have you ever thought about the butterfly effect? Small actions generate big changes. A kind word, a smile, an act of generosity can transform someone's day. And this change spreads, creating a network of positive impact. Remember that teacher who believed in you, or that person who gave you a chance when no one else did. Their influence might seem small, but to you it was everything, wasn't it? Now imagine being that person for someone. You have that power. You don't need to be a world hero to be relevant. Your presence is felt in your family, among your friends, at your job. Every interaction counts, every gesture has value, and that is your relevance. So instead of asking if you matter, ask yourself, how can I use my presence to make a difference? What can I do today to create a positive impact? Because believe me, the world needs you, your note in the grand symphony of life. Let's discover together ways to be the best version of ourselves and positively influence those around us. Because in the end, true insignificance lies in not recognizing our own relevance. And are you ready to embrace your importance? Leave in the comments the phrase, "I am ready," so I can see that you are very committed. Others' perception. How many times have you caught yourself thinking that everyone is watching you, that every misstep, every poorly placed word is being meticulously analyzed by everyone around you? The truth is, most of the time, this is just a creation of our mind. Imagine yourself at a party, worried if the clothes you chose are appropriate, if your hair is tidy, if people are judging your choices. But the reality is that just like you, everyone is more focused on their own concerns. Each of us lives trapped in our bubble of self-criticism. There is a psychological term for this, the spotlight effect. It describes this tendency to overestimate how much others are noticing and caring about our actions and appearances. It's as if we are always at the center of a stage with a big spotlight illuminating us. But the truth is, this spotlight is in our heads. Remember that time you gave a speech and thought everyone noticed your nervousness? Or when you thought everyone saw that stain on your clothes? In reality, most people were distracted by their own thoughts and concerns. Think about this. How many times have you really paid attention to others' mistakes? How many times have you dwelled on someone else's small slip-up for more than a minute? I bet it was few if it happened at all. So why do we believe others do this to us? Free yourself from this idea. When you rid yourself of the fear of others' judgment, you gain incredible freedom. You start living more authentically, more truly. Insecurity transforms into confidence, and you begin to focus on what really matters: your personal growth, your achievements, your well-being. The next time you feel the eyes weighing on you, remember, most people are so worried about themselves that they barely notice what's around them. And isn't that liberating? Use this perception to allow yourself to be yourself, to experiment, to make mistakes, and above all, to live fully. Are you ready to step out of the imaginary center of this stage and live your life without the chains of judgment that actually only exist in your mind? Authenticity and social masks. Let's talk about authenticity. At some point in life, we all put on masks, whether at work, among friends, or even with family. It's common to adapt our behavior to fit better into different environments and situations. But why do we do this? Perhaps it's the fear of not being accepted. The fear that if we show our true selves, people might reject us. And so we put on a mask. We adopt a smile we don't feel, laugh at jokes we don't find funny, hide opinions to avoid conflicts. However, these masks can distance us from who we really are. They create barriers that prevent genuine connections. It's like living on a stage, always acting, never truly being ourselves. Think of that person you admire for being authentic. What makes them so special? It's the courage to be who they really are without fear of others' judgment. This authenticity is magnetic. It attracts people, creates deep and lasting bonds. I remember a time when I also wore masks. At work, I was the perfect professional, always saying what others wanted to hear. Among friends, I was the funny one, always with a joke ready. At home, I tried to be the perfect child, hiding my problems so as not to worry my parents. But gradually, I realized this was suffocating me. I wasn't happy, and worse, the people around me didn't know the real me. I decided then to start taking off these masks one by one. It was a gradual and sometimes painful process, but it was liberating. When we start being authentic, we discover who really accepts and values us for who we truly are. Relationships become more genuine, more meaningful, and above all, we begin to live according to our values and truths. So the reflection I want to leave is, what masks are you wearing? In what areas of your life are you not being completely authentic? And more importantly, how can you start freeing yourself from these masks? Being authentic doesn't mean being perfect. It means being true, showing your vulnerabilities, your fears, your flaws. And by doing this, you allow others to do the same. We create a space of mutual acceptance, growth, and genuine love. Shall we walk this path of authenticity together? Let's free ourselves from the masks and live our truth. The journey can be challenging, but the reward is a full and true life, and that is undoubtedly worth it. Let me share some personal stories to illustrate these points about authenticity and the impact each of us can have on the world. I have a dog named Thor. He is a husky full of energy, and every day we take long walks around the neighborhood. During these walks, I have the opportunity to interact with various people. I remember one particular morning. I was feeling overwhelmed with work responsibilities, and honestly, I wasn't in a very good mood. But Thor needed his walk, so off we went. While we walked, we met an elderly man who lives nearby. I saw him often, but we had never really talked. That day, Thor, with his friendly nature, approached him, wagging his tail. He bent down to pet him and started talking to me. We talked about simple things, the weather, our dogs, the neighborhood, but that light and friendly conversation changed my day. His kindness, the fact that he was present at the moment, made me realize I wasn't alone. It was a simple interaction, but it showed me how small gestures can have a big impact. We often underestimate the power of a casual conversation, a smile, an act of kindness. And this brings me to the point of personal relevance. We never know how our actions can influence others. Another remarkable experience happened at my job. There was a colleague who always seemed calm and confident. I admired his ability to handle difficult situations without losing his composure. One day he opened up to me, sharing that he also often felt insecure, but had learned to accept it and move forward. This authenticity, this vulnerability he showed, inspired me deeply. I realized that we all have our internal struggles, and that being authentic about them can bring us closer to others and create a more empathetic and understanding environment. These stories illustrate the importance of being true, of allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, and recognizing the impact we have on each other. By living authentically, we connect more deeply and meaningfully with those around us. So how about we start embracing our true essence and making a difference in people's lives, one interaction at a time? Let's walk this journey together, taking off our masks and showing the world who we really are. Because in the end, it is this authenticity that makes life so rich and fulfilling. Not caring about appearance. Let's talk about not caring about appearance and the importance of being authentic, letting go of the constant concern about what others think. We live in a society where appearance is often overvalued. However, it's essential to remember that true beauty lies in authenticity. I remember a time when I was about to go to an important meeting. I spent hours getting ready, choosing the perfect outfit, fixing my hair and trying to look appropriate. When I finally left, I was nervous, worried about what others would think of me. During the meeting, I realized that while I was so focused on my appearance, the people around me were more interested in my ideas and what I had to say. This made me reflect, why do we spend so much energy worrying about our appearance? The truth is that most of the time, people are more focused on themselves and their own insecurities than judging us. Another example comes from my daily walks with Max, my dog. On days when I'm more relaxed, I leave the house without worrying much about appearance. Sometimes I'm in sweatpants without makeup, hair tied up anyhow. And you know what I realized? The conversations I have on those days are the most genuine. People feel more at ease, and so do I. We are all being ourselves without masks. Authenticity has a transformative power. When we stop excessively worrying about appearance, we make room for our true essence to shine. The connections we make become more real and deep. The energy we spend trying to fit into a mold can be redirected to things that really matter: our passions, our relationships, our personal growth. Ask yourself, how many times have you stopped yourself from doing something out of fear of what others might think? How many opportunities have you let pass because you didn't feel adequate enough? And what if you could free yourself from these chains and simply be yourself? Being authentic is an act of courage. It's showing the world who you really are, with all your imperfections and peculiarities. It's believing that you are enough just as you are, and that's powerful. So the next time you catch yourself worrying about your appearance, remember, your true beauty lies in your authenticity. In the sparkle of your eyes when you talk about something you love, in the sound of your laughter, in the unique way you see the world. Make room for this authenticity and see how life becomes lighter and more fulfilling. Reflection on actions and reactions. Let's reflect on how our actions and reactions are quickly forgotten by others. How many times have you caught yourself worrying about something you did or said, imagining how people reacted or what they thought of you? This worry can consume us, but it's important to remember that in reality, most people don't remember these actions for long. Think about the last time you made a small mistake in public. Maybe you tripped on the street, dropped something in a restaurant, or said something wrong in a meeting. At the moment, it might have seemed like a big problem, and you might have felt embarrassed or worried about what others thought. But how many of those people really remember this incident? Probably almost no one. The truth is, we are all so busy with our own lives, worries and insecurities that we don't have the time or energy to remember the small mistakes of others. This gives us incredible freedom to be ourselves, to experiment, to make mistakes, and to learn without the constant fear of others' judgment. I remember a situation where I was speaking in public and completely lost my train of thought. I blushed, stuttered, and felt terribly embarrassed. But after the presentation, I realized that most people hadn't even noticed my mistake, or if they did, they didn't care. They were more focused on the overall message than the small errors I made. This type of experience teaches us that we shouldn't give so much weight to others' opinions. Life is too short to constantly worry about what people think. When we stop worrying so much about external approval, we start living more authentically and fully. Additionally, our reactions to mistakes and challenges are more important than the mistakes themselves. When we can laugh at ourselves, learn from our mistakes, and move forward with confidence, we show an inner strength that inspires others. Think about it. Are the people you most admire perfect, or are they those who are authentic, who show their vulnerabilities, and who move forward despite difficulties? They are probably the latter, and you can be that person for someone too. So let's adopt a new perspective. Let's understand that our mistakes are part of the growth process and that they are quickly forgotten by others. Let's focus on being authentic, on learning, and on growing every day without the constant worry of what others think. Are you ready to embrace this freedom, to live more lightly and authentically? Remember, others' opinions are fleeting, but how you see and value yourself is what really matters. Let's walk this journey of self-confidence and authenticity together, living each day with more courage and less worry. Because in the end, life is much richer when we are truly ourselves. Consequences of excessive worry. Let's talk about the consequences of excessive worry about what others think. We live in a society where others' opinions often shape our choices, but this constant worry can come at a high cost. When we worry too much about others' opinions, we end up living a life that is not truly ours. We strive to fit into molds that do not represent us, constantly seeking external approval. This effort can lead us to ignore our own desires, dreams, and values, resulting in an inauthentic life. Think about a time in your life when you did something just to please others. Maybe you chose a career that didn't satisfy you, frequented places that didn't interest you, or maintained friendships that didn't do you any good. The feeling of disconnection with yourself is exhausting. It's like living for others and not for yourself. I remember a period when I was obsessed with my colleagues' opinions at work. Every decision I made was carefully thought out to please everyone. However, this led me to a state of constant stress and dissatisfaction. I wasn't being true to myself, and that affected my happiness and well-being. Excessive worry about others' opinions can generate a series of negative consequences, including loss of identity. When we worry too much about what others think, we begin to shape our actions and behaviors according to others' expectations. Over time, we can lose our sense of who we really are and what we truly want in life. Stress and anxiety. The constant attempt to please everyone can be incredibly stressful. The fear of making mistakes or not being accepted can generate anxiety, harming our mental health. Personal dissatisfaction. Living according to others' expectations often prevents us from following our own dreams and passions. This can lead to deep personal dissatisfaction and a sense of emptiness. Superficial relationships. When we are not authentic, our relationships tend to be superficial. People don't know our true selves, making it difficult to create genuine and meaningful connections. Limited personal development. Excessive worry about others' opinions prevents us from taking risks and exploring new opportunities. We remain stuck in our comfort zone, limiting our growth and personal development, but there is a way out. When we start valuing ourselves and living according to our own values and desires, we free ourselves from these chains. Authenticity brings us a sense of freedom and inner peace. We begin to surround ourselves with people who accept us for who we really are, and our relationships become deeper and more genuine. Over time, I learned to put my needs and desires first. This doesn't mean being selfish, but rather recognizing that my happiness and well-being are essential. When I am authentic, I attract people who truly value and accept me, and that is incredibly liberating. So let's walk this journey of self-knowledge and authenticity together. Let's free ourselves from the need to please everyone and focus on what really matters, living a full and true life. Because in the end, true happiness comes from within, not from others' approval. Are you ready to embrace your authenticity and live a life that truly satisfies you? Let's take this step together with courage and confidence towards a more authentic and happy life. The importance of living in the present. Let's talk about the importance of living in the present. In a world full of distractions and external pressures, it's easy to get lost in worries about the past or anxieties about the future. But there is incredible power in being fully present and focused on the current moment. Think about how many times you caught yourself reliving a past mistake or worrying about something that hasn't happened yet. These worries can steal the joy of the present. When we are trapped in these worries, we stop enjoying the experiences right in front of us. One of my greatest lessons about the importance of living in the present came during a simple walk with my dog Max. On a particularly stressful day, I went out for a walk with him, my mind still full of work worries. Max, however, was completely present. He ran, sniffed the ground, played with other dogs. He was totally immersed in the moment, enjoying every second. Watching Max, I decided to try doing the same. I began to pay attention to what was around me, the sound of birds, the smell of flowers, the feel of the sun on my skin. Gradually, my worries began to dissipate, and I started to feel a sense of peace and joy that I hadn't experienced in a long time. This experience taught me that living in the present is not just a cliché phrase. It's a powerful practice that can transform the way we feel and interact with the world. When we are present, we can truly appreciate the small things in life that often go unnoticed. Being present also means freeing ourselves from the fear of external judgment. When we are fully focused on the moment, there is no room to worry about what others might be thinking. This gives us the freedom to be ourselves, to act according to our own values and desires. The practice of presence brings numerous benefits. Here are some of them. Reduction of stress and anxiety. Being present helps us let go of worries about the past and future, reducing stress and anxiety. This allows us to face challenges with more clarity and calm. Improved relationships. When we are present in interactions with others, we create deeper and more meaningful connections. People feel heard and valued, and this strengthens our relationships. Increased creativity. Presence allows us to access our creativity more fully. When we are focused on the moment, we are more open to new ideas and solutions, greater satisfaction with life. Enjoying the moment brings us a sense of gratitude and satisfaction. We learn to value what we have, instead of constantly seeking the next goal or achievement. Let's cultivate the practice of being present in our daily lives. It can start with small steps, dedicating a few minutes a day to observe our breath, enjoying a meal without distractions, or simply walking outdoors and noticing the details around us. Ask yourself, how can I be more present today? What can I do to make the most of this moment without worrying about what others think? Let's commit to living in the present, appreciating each experience, and freeing ourselves from the worries that bind us. Are you ready to embrace the power of now? Let's walk this journey of presence and authenticity together, living each day with more intention and joy. Because in the end, life is a series of precious moments, and being present allows us to enjoy each one to the fullest. Letting go of external validation. Let's talk about something that touches all of us to a greater or lesser degree, the need for external validation. Have you ever wondered why we often seek others' approval? It's like we need a good enough stamp to feel good, isn't it? But what happens when that validation doesn't come? Maybe you gave your all at work, hoping for a compliment from your boss. Or perhaps you bought new clothes hoping your friends would notice, and when that doesn't happen, how do you feel? Frustrated, devalued, maybe even invisible. This relentless pursuit of others' validation can leave us exhausted and, ironically, less satisfied with ourselves. Allow me to share a personal story. Once, I decided to take my dog, an adorable golden retriever named Max, for a walk in a new park in the city. I was excited, thinking the park would be amazing. However, when I got there, the park wasn't all I imagined. I was a bit disappointed. Then I started observing Max. He was completely happy, exploring every corner, sniffing every tree, without caring if the park was good enough by human standards. Max didn't need anyone's validation to feel happy. We can learn a lot from this, don't you think? When we let go of the need for external approval, we start living more authentically and truthfully. Imagine waking up every day and feeling good about yourself, regardless of what others think. It's liberating. This doesn't mean we'll never care about others' opinions again, but it means our happiness no longer depends on it. So how can we start letting go of this need? First, recognize your achievements. Small or large, celebrate your victories. You are capable and deserve to acknowledge that. Second, engage in activities you genuinely enjoy, not those you think others will approve of. When you do something you love, the internal satisfaction surpasses any external validation. And how about a call to action? Challenge yourself to spend a day without seeking anyone's approval. Do it for yourself, dress to please yourself, make decisions based on what makes you happy, and see how you feel at the end of the day. You might be surprised by the sense of freedom and authenticity this brings. Remember, life is too short to be lived according to others' opinions. You are enough just as you are. So let's free ourselves from this need for external validation and live a fuller and more authentic life. After all, as Oscar Wilde said, be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. Social media and reality. Let's talk a bit about social media and how it influences how we perceive ourselves and others. Have you ever stopped to think how social media encourages the creation of false images and increases our pursuit of external validation? It seems like we live in an era where appearance often matters more than reality. On social media, everything looks perfect. That friend who's always traveling to exotic places, the colleague with a brilliant career, or the neighbor who seems to have the perfect family. But is it really all that? Or are we just seeing the carefully edited version of these people's lives? The truth is, social media is like shop windows. They show the best parts but hide the difficulties, the flaws, and the moments of vulnerability. And it's easy to fall into the trap of comparing our real life with the filtered version of others' lives. But remember, what you see on social media is not the complete life. It's just a snapshot, often edited and polished to look better than it really is. Let's reflect on a common situation. Imagine you spend hours on Instagram and see photos of people with perfect bodies in paradisiacal places, living lives that seem like a dream, and then you look at your own life and feel that it's not up to par. This feeling of inadequacy can be devastating, can't it? Let me share another personal story. A few years ago, I was obsessed with the idea of having the perfect Instagram feed. I spent hours taking and editing photos, choosing the best angles and filters, and you know what happened? The more perfect my life looked on social media, the more unhappy I felt in real life. I was so worried about appearance that I forgot to truly live. The pursuit of validation on social media can be a dangerous trap, but how can we avoid falling into this trap? First, practice authenticity. Share real moments, not just the perfect ones. Show your vulnerability. People connect with authenticity, not perfection. Second, set limits. Reserve moments of the day to disconnect and live the present without the need to document everything. And lastly, remember that a person's worth is not measured by the number of likes or followers. You are worth much more than that. Let's do a small call to action. How about a challenge? Spend a day without posting anything on social media. Instead, enjoy each moment for yourself. At the end of the day, reflect on how you felt. You might discover that living real life is much more rewarding than seeking external validation. Life is too short to be lived through a screen. So let's remember to be authentic, live in the present, and value ourselves for who we really are, not for what we show on social media. And above all, let's cultivate internal happiness, the kind that doesn't depend on likes or comments. After all, true happiness comes from within. Self-criticism and perfectionism. Let's talk about two deeply interconnected topics that affect many of us: self-criticism and perfectionism. Have you ever wondered why we are so demanding of ourselves? Why do we seek this unattainable perfection? Often, this pursuit is rooted in concern with appearance and the need for external validation. Perfectionism might seem, at first glance, like an admirable quality. After all, who doesn't want to be the best at what they do? However, the relentless pursuit of perfection can be paralyzing. It's like trying to reach a star in the sky. The more you stretch, the farther it seems to be. And often this pursuit is fueled by concern with what others will think. Imagine you are working on an important project. You dedicate yourself, give your best, but always feel that something is missing. You review, adjust, and review again in search of perfection. But deep down, what you really fear is others' judgment. What if they don't like it? What if they criticize it? This constant fear can lead us to an endless cycle of self-criticism, leaving us exhausted and dissatisfied. I'll share a personal story. There was a time when I was obsessed with the idea of being perfect in everything I did. At work, I would strive to the utmost, reviewing every detail to exhaustion. At home, I tried to be the best friend, the best partner, the best in everything. And you know what happened? I ended up feeling overwhelmed, anxious, and ironically, less productive. The pursuit of perfection was distancing me from happiness and authenticity. So how can we free ourselves from this trap? First, we need to accept that perfection doesn't exist. We all make mistakes, have flaws, and guess what? It's all okay. It's our imperfection that makes us human. Second, we need to redefine our concept of success. Instead of seeking external approval, how about measuring our success by the effort and dedication we put into things? Value your progress, not perfection. Here is a call to action. Practice self-compassion. The next time you catch yourself being excessively critical of yourself, stop and take a deep breath. Ask yourself, would I be so harsh with a friend in this situation? Probably the answer is no. So treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding. Remember that life is not about being perfect, but about being true. Self-criticism and perfectionism can be major obstacles to our happiness. By freeing ourselves from the need to appear perfect and seeking external validation, we begin to live more authentically and fully. As Brené Brown said, imperfection is a gift. It allows us to connect in a truer and more meaningful way. Let's embrace our imperfections and live with more lightness and authenticity. After all, life is too short to be lived in fear of others' judgment. Be kind to yourself, celebrate your achievements, and above all, allow yourself to be human. We've reached the end of our conversation, but the true beginning of reflection starts now. I want you to stop for a moment and think, how have you been living your life? Are you living according to your own desires and values, or are you being carried away by others' expectations? Living an authentic life, free from the need for external validation, is not easy. It requires courage, self-knowledge, and above all, a commitment to yourself. But the reward is immense. When you start acting according to your own desires and values, you feel an indescribable freedom, a lightness that only those who free themselves from the chains of others' opinions can feel. Remember the stories we shared today. Letting go of the need for validation, the trap of social media, and the struggle against self-criticism and perfectionism. All these point to a path of greater authenticity and happiness. So how about taking a break and reflecting? Ask yourself, am I living the life I really want to live? And here is a call to reflection. Make a list of the things you truly value. What makes you happy? What brings you peace? Then ask yourself if your actions and choices are aligned with these values. If they aren't, it's time to make adjustments. Small changes can make a big difference. Take this moment to reconnect with yourself. Value who you are with all your imperfections. Celebrate your victories no matter how small. And remember that you are not alone on this journey. We are all learning and growing day by day. Before we finish, I want to invite you to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this message with those who you think need to hear it. Together we can create a community of more authentic and happy people who live according to their own values. Thank you for being here, for allowing yourself to reflect, and for seeking a truer life. Let's free ourselves from others' expectations and live fully. After all, life is short and deserves to be lived with authenticity. See you next time.